Hi everyone, welcome to Tuesdays with Tuesday. My name is Tuesday and I'm here to read to you the next chapter from my book called Savage Hearts. Savage Hearts, as you know by now, is book 1 in the Savage Hearts series, which is 5 books long. I'm pretty sure. If I'm remembering that wrong, check the other videos where I remembered it right. This is Cricket. I don't know if you can see very well, but this is my baby Cricket, and she is going to listen with you while we read today. And oh my gosh, I know you're so excited about this because why wouldn't you be? It affects your life so much. But I got fish. And I'm so excited about them. I have 7 fish right now, which is a big responsibility for me, but like I'm doing it. So it's very fun to sit and write, like right there is my workspace. So I get to write right next to my fish tank, and they're like, you're doing a great job, Tuesday. I'm like, thanks guys. So I hope that you get to sneak a peek at some of them. Some of them are neon yellow. So hopefully they'll swim by while I'm reading and you'll be like, hi neon yellow fish. They're really cute. I also have neon tetras. But we're not here for that today. Stop distracting me. We're reading chapter 19. And as a reminder, again, if Santos is speaking, since he's mute, that was my cat who just ran. When Santos is speaking, sign, it is in italics in a book, in the Kindle and paperback. But since I'm reading it to you, it's hard to communicate that, and I do not speak fluent sign. So it will go like this so that you know he is signing. Chapter 19, adding a 4th. Santos. Emotion flickers in Adelita's eyes. You dreamt I was being attacked? Cruz buttons his lips shut, and I can see confusion creep over his features, now that he's more fully awake. He wasn't expecting to have slept through the night, no more than he anticipated waking next to Adelita, curled up to her as if she was his shelter in his constant storm. La Sayona left him the second Adelita touched his hand in the night. There's no mistaking the magic in that. Still, it was a hefty chance to take. Rafi knows we screwed up by letting Adelita sleep next to Cruz, even though all signs point to her being okay. Rafi gets out of the bed and wraps his arms around Cruz, grounding him when his life veers into the deep end. Cruz breathes deeply, allowing Rafi to calm him when he needs it. It's all right, brother. We watched her. I wouldn't have let her sleep beside you if it wasn't clear that she would be safe. Then Rafi lays his hand on Cruz's shoulder and snores loudly, letting us all know that he would rather have indulged in another hour of rest. Cruz gives Rafi a light shove, but I can see he's still spooked by the whole thing. I make my way to them and sign to Cruz that of course I wouldn't have allowed Adelita near him if he would put her in danger. Rafi releases him so Cruz can hug me, gripping the back of my head as he always does when he's tightly wound. Tell me I didn't. But it's clear nothing foul happened. Adelita is standing right there, looking just as lucid, albeit puzzled, as ever. The men in the village don't hug as often as the 3 of us do. I don't care that our affection makes us stand out. We need it. Cruz pulls away, his eyes climbing Adelita from toe to head. It makes no sense. I didn't hurt you? A veil falls over her eyes. You absolutely hurt me when you tore my stitches. And you hurt me every time you're mean on purpose. But last night? No, you didn't hurt me last night. You were the one in pain, not me. I don't understand. You didn't see... I didn't... You're not... His jaw tightens, and I can already anticipate this taking a poor turn. You shouldn't have touched me while I was sleeping. Is that what therapists are supposed to do? Creep up on people while they're unconscious and hold their hands without permission? Raphael runs a hand over his face, blinking over and over to force himself to be alert for this exchange. None of us wants to dissect it all, so don't be a moody butthole about the whole thing. Keep your mouth shut and don't make her feel bad about it just because you're embarrassed. Well, it's not... She shouldn't have held my hand. Rafi cups his hand over his mouth and releases an obnoxious boo. Then he turns on his side, as if anyone could possibly go back to sleep now. We don't want to talk about it, man. We're all better off pretending nothing weird happened. Thank goodness for Raphael. Adelita frowns at the three of us. I'm not sure how healthy that is, or how long it'll last. Besides, I have questions aplenty. But when she drinks in the steely look on Cruz's face, she clams up. It's clear this isn't the time, and Cruz isn't the person to ask about La Sayona. Cruz grabs his phone, sitting in the chair nearest the door while he pretends whatever it is on his screen is terribly fascinating. When my eyes meet his embarrassed gaze, he looks away and makes a phone call instead of barking at Adelita, which I guess is a good thing. I use the bathroom, in part to grant myself a break from the tension in the room. The sound of Cruz grumbling into his phone when I come back out cools the turmoil that's steadily been bubbling in the room since he woke. We're on it. I get that you want us there now, but there's no way other than driving, and we're still a day or so away. What's this great threat you're so worried about? His disgusted sigh distracts us from the rough start to the morning. Are you serious? That's it? That's all you're basing this on? His attitude swings free sometimes, but he's quick to tether it back into place. Yes, sir. We'll check it out. He ends the call and starts another without looking up. Hey, Dad. Can you have Aaron make up a room at home for the person we rescued? I note Cruz's cool avoidance of mentioning that the person rescued is a woman. It means something, but I'm not sure what. I'm grateful he's protecting Adelita, putting her up in his house. Our house. Adelita will be living with us. A smile sweeps across my face in time with a frown taking over hers. What's wrong? I mouth as I stand before her. She's in the middle of the room, looking so lost. I just have to be near her. She doesn't just look sad, but suddenly worried. I don't know, Cruz. I don't want to live with a man who hurts me to get what he wants. There's nowhere else I can stay? There are no blankets to hide us when my hand reaches out to twine my fingers through hers. Raphael was pulling his shirt on, but freezes at the sight, a giddy grin on his face. I wait until she relaxes into the touch before I use my free hand to sign, tapping my chest. I live with Cruz. He'll be living with me, if that's all right. This seems to lift her features from devastation to curiosity. Say it again? I sign slower this time, loving the way her eyes track my movements. She doesn't answer. Instead, she closes the small gap between us and rests her forehead to my shoulder. She seeks me out for comfort, for safety when the world tilts uncertainly. It's the best feeling in the world. I cup the back of her head, indulging in the softness of her raven waves. I've never cared much about hair, but now that she's letting me touch the strands, I decide on the spot that I only prefer this exact shade of black. When Cruz ends the call and stands, that's the cue for all of us to get moving. I sit Adelita on the edge of the bed and gather up the clean clothes for her, making sure she doesn't jostle her shoulder too much. The less it moves, the faster it will heal. Cruz is usually all about business when it's time to go, but even after I finish with Adelita's shoulder, the bags are still only partially packed. Cruz is seated across from Adelita on the other bed, his hand perpendicular to the floor to punctuate his edict. It's how he gets when he has to lay down the law without wanting to cause a scene about it. The Caceres village is the safest place for you. We have a wall, a giant border surrounding our tribe. It keeps everyone else out. Even people who come from other tribes seeking asylum can't get in. It's totally safe. Her nose crinkles. You have a wall to keep the world out? Even people you are not at war with? How is that healthy? How can your village possibly evolve and thrive with no input or connections to the outside world? Cruz looks stumped, frowning with his eyebrows pushed together. Instead of answering, he sidesteps the question entirely. You'll stay with me in my home because you don't know enough about the village or the Kalku to know when you're in danger. You have exactly one weapon to fight with: strength. If that's compromised, you're wide open to their attack. You need to be trained. but I don't want your ability made public. I'm guessing by the way you hid your secret from us for so long, you don't want people to know how strong you are either. Cruz purses his lips before continuing. Somehow the Calcoo will know. They do know. That must be why they want you. If they are trying to capture you, then they have big plans for your ability. Best learn to hone them somewhere safe so you can protect yourself. She shakes her head, her entire demeanor downcast. She's got her free hand sandwiched between her knees. Her body is too tense. It's clear she doesn't trust Cruz. No, I won't go to the village with you. As much as I... She clams up and then exhales. No, just no. I'll go to the cursed tree with you, but after that, I'm out. All sensation drains from my face. It can't be over this quickly. The village is the only place you'll be safe, Cruz counters. But I'm not safe with you. Taking me to the village where you can torture me however you wish? No thanks. Rafi holds up his hand. For now, we don't have to talk about it. We know our next destination, which is the cursed tree. All other talk can wait. My doom is on the horizon. I need to make the most of the time we have together before she leaves us for good. The Calcoo will hunt her down. They've come for her twice now. They only do that if they're determined to see a capture through to the end, no matter what. Usually they'll move on to another victim. I cannot let her part from us. She will be murdered for certain. Santos, Rafi and I can train you on the way. Cruz rubs the nape of his neck, and I can tell that he's nervous. Sure, he's got bags under his eyes he could use a shave. Those things are standard for Cruz. But there's a hesitance to them now that's unfamiliar. I've never invited a woman to live in my home before. Guess it played out about as well as I thought it would. She nods once, but it's going to be a long road before he's earned her trust. Cruz liberated me. He earned more than just my trust. He holds my unswerving loyalty. Without him and Raphael, I'd be stuck in the cave, slave of the Calcoo. I won't live with you, she rules in a quiet voice. I don't know you, and what I do know scares me. That's fair. Cruz absorbs her honesty without brushing it aside. How about I stay away from you as much as I can until you trust me? It's a kind offer, and not one Raphael or I expect him to give. He's usually not willing to bend on anything. His job isn't to understand nuances of emotion. He's the military's top warrior. It's her quiet demeanor that forces him to lower his own volume, sanding off the edge in her tone to offer up something softer. Okay, that might be best. Raphael starts to pack up his bag, and I realize I've been slacking. I elbow him out of the way and finish the job. Securing Cruz's possessions and slinging his bag, Raphael's and mine, over my shoulder, along with Adelita's things, which I put in the backpack I bought her last night. Is that mine? She asks quietly. Everything she does is so soft, until it all explodes out of her, like when she murdered her attackers. I nod, trying to explain why a purse isn't as easy to carry when you're on the road and possibly on the run. It's black, like the rest of ours, but hers is brand new and doesn't have the wear and tear ours do from years of combat and near misses. Her purse is inside, along with toiletries and a change of clothes. My new goal is to make sure Adelita doesn't experience any of the rougher life we are accustomed to. I want her backpack to stay untarnished. We've added a fourth to our closed-off group. I can carry it, Santos. You're not a pack mule. Raphael coils his arm around her wrist and smooches her cheek. He's so casual with women on the road. Goodness knows the women in the village won't go near him. He fits in more gracefully out in the world like this. It's natural when he drapes his arm over any of them. So natural, in fact, that Adelita doesn't protest. I try to picture myself doing something like that. I'm sure I'd do it wrong. Just holding her hand is a big deal for me. Raphael doles out affections as if they're pocket treats for children. Santos likes to make sure everything is taken care of. You sleep well, Linda? I did. Santos, honestly, you're carrying 4 backpacks. At least give me mine. Raphael arrests his backpack from me and hands Cruz his. Looks like the glory days of letting Santos carry our stuff is over. I reluctantly hand over her pack, feeling lost without my role clearly defined. I'm to look after them. I'm to make sure they aren't bothered by anything. Now they're carrying their own bags. I'm unsure what to do with this as we walk out into the morning fog. Raphael bats at the dense air, as if that will make him see better. You in a funk this morning, Chief? Because this is overkill. It's too late in the morning for this much fog. Cruz doesn't offer more than a grunt, which means he's preoccupied. The weather is definitely bowing to him, as it does when he isn't calm. I haven't felt the heat from the unfettered sun in a long time. Adelita's wearing her pack on her good shoulder only. She tugs her long hair from under the strap, frowning at the inconvenience as we pile into the car. Raphael's rattling off a list of all the things he can't wait to show Adelita when we get back to the village, but I'm not paying attention. Cruz pulls out of the parking lot, and I motion for Adelita to turn her back to me. It's far easier to braid her hair than it was Father's or any of the warriors. They rarely washed it and never brushed. Adelita's hair is thick, long, silky, and is clearly bothering her, down as it is. I get a few inches in before she turns her chin, pausing my progress. Are you braiding my hair? Raphael explains it all for me. Back when he lived with the Calcú, one of his jobs was to get the warriors ready for battle. They all have long hair, which Santos, Santiago, and the rest of the slaves braided for them. Oh, well, thank you. I'm no good at putting my hair back with one hand, and it's been bugging me. I smile and nod once, as if to tell her it's no trouble. Then she says, "Can you sign all the things Raphael just said? If you don't, I'm never going to learn." My heart swells in my chest that she wants to know how to communicate with me. I love that she's taking this step. I wish she didn't have to, of course, but curses are final, no matter how optimistic Cruz is that one day we'll find a cure for my muteness. I indulge her, moving my fingers slowly so she can track which words mean what. Then I turn her head so I can finish braiding her hair. It's 2 braids that start above the far ends of her eyebrows and go back to the tips. Then I cross the ends and braid those into the sides of her head so there aren't any loose ends to bother her. When she turns to face me, she's utterly angelic. The Calcú had ratty wisps that stuck out and made them look unhinged. She barely looks older than a teenager, ready to face the world with a beaming smile. I love the look of happiness on her. I can see more of her face like this, which is just about the best sight in the world. Thank you. That's so much better. Then, instead of sliding back to the left side of the back seat, she takes the middle seat. My arm knows what to do on instinct and wraps itself behind her so my fingers can play with the small curls at the base of her neck. This, apparently, is the right thing to do. Adelita slumps as if she's gone suddenly boneless and rests her temple to my shoulder. Her jugular is exposed, which is a clear display of trust. She trusts me. Santos the Savage, who was plucked from the Calcú and forced civilized people to coexist with him. Santos the Savage, who makes women cringe with his scarred face and reputation for dining on the hearts of women. My eyes sweep to the pulse thumping at her throat. The Calcú won't have her heart for their rituals. As long as I live, it'll stay safe inside of her. I find I'm protective of that thrum, that poetically steady drip of sanity that's strong enough to grant serenity to even us lowly savages. I'm deliriously happy that I get to brush my fingers down her cheek. Her lashes shut out Raphael's giddy astonishment as he turns to give me an emphatic thumbs up. I hope the drive takes whole days, so I can just stay like this with her for as long as fate will allow. That was chapter 19 of Savage Hearts. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed watching my fishies, and that you got to say hi to Cricket, my dog, and one of my cats, Wednesday, who came to visit. I really like reading to you. I thought it would be too scary or too awkward, and it still is both of those things if I'm being honest, but I like that I'm doing it. I like that we have this little time together. I am going to go make myself some tea, and I hope you do something good for yourself today. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next Tuesday for the next chapter of Savage Hearts.